100% Sailor Piece, I will need to obtain all 22 specs, obtain every title inside the game, and get to a level over 9,000. But all journeys must start with a level 1 bacon hair. As every noob does, I ran around doing legit nothing. I spoke to some random NPCs and got my very first quest, but it did not end well as I got instantly one-shotted. Just got sent, bro. Once I found the actual first quest guy, I started beating up a bunch of thieves, and unlike Blackfoots, I actually got levels, you know? I mean, from killing just one thief, I went from level 0 to level 23, which is crazy. And after smacking a few more, I finished the quest, which brought me to level 56, which is absolutely crazy. I opened up my stats and threw everything into melee because I was trying to one-shot these guys, and yo, I was actually able to one-shot these guys, which is crazy. Since me and Ascension were playing together, we jumped the bandit leader, which gave us a decent amount of EXP. And one good thing about this game, unlike other bandit beaters, we don't actually need to be a certain level to get these quests, which is really nice. That also made progression super easy and super fast. It got to the point where we were literally just abusing the boss and sending him to the Shadow Realm, which is really crazy. And since we can pick up any quest, we decided to do something smart and go on to the next island, which is way above our pay grade. And obviously, using the power of jump no jutsu, it gave us a crazy amount of levels. I also ended up getting a rare chest, which I opened, and it seems like these just give a bunch of materials and loot, which we'll probably need in the future. Anyways, we got the next quest, which was actually a boss quest, and we jumped him, and after a few deaths, we eventually did smoke him, which was really nice. And you already know, we put all of our points into melee damage. We then decided it would be probably better just to go to the desert island, and you already know we jumped the heck out of the boss. Oh no, he got attacked, bro. He got attacked like that. Now we can actually beat him. We're going to screw. Oh, this guy's cooked, bro. This guy's cooked. And after just a few minutes, we were actually able to kill him, which is really nice. And it gave us so much EXP, making us almost level 500, which is crazy. You know, in Blackfoots, that would take us like, what, 5 days? After pumping more stats in the melee, we got into level 600, which is really nice. And then we decided to go into the next area. We also found Mihawk selling Dark Blade, but we were not able to afford it, so we just skipped it. The boss was a lot tankier than we originally thought, but we did eventually smack him, which gave us a bunch of levels, which you already know I put straight into melee. We both agreed to grind the desert boss a bit more since we were able to one-cycle him without dying. Eventually, we did get to a level over 1000, and while exploring, we found a wild Jin Woo boss. Jin Woo, oh, 6 million, we could do that. Before jumping him, I found the Ascension NPC, which we would of course have to max out later on. I also found an area with a bunch of NPCs, including Fruit NPC, which we both decided to roll. I also found the Traits NPC, which I of course spun, but I got nothing good. They also had stats. Yeah, this game had literally a little bit of everything from every anime game, which is kind of crazy, I can't lie. There was also a merchant that sells a bunch of goods for gems as well as gold, which is really nice. I did spam get some fruits, but got literally nothing good, but thankfully Ascension had my back and gave us a spare Quake, which he got. Anyways, we started jumping the heck out of Jin Woo, but sadly he reverse jumped us and just smoked the heck out of us both in record time. We didn't give up though, we just continued to jump Jin Woo, and after like 30 minutes we actually finally smoked him, and I'm glad we smoked him because we got 300 levels from that, which is absolutely crazy. And you already know all my stats in the damage. Since this game is most likely heavy AFK, we found an amazing spot to AFK, which gives us billions of EXP, but sadly my macro ended up breaking and I got like no EXP. After I came back from being AFK though, I did finish off the quest, which gave a bunch of levels, which I put straight into damage. A little bit later, a Lucret ended up spawning and we decided to jump him, and yo, we got cooked real quick. Since me and Ascension were about the same level, we farmed the heck out of the Shinjaku quest for a bunch of levels. Before I continue the journey, I just want to say if you guys can smash 500 likes, I will give away 25 aura crates and 10 cosmetic crates inside my Discord server. So make sure you guys join it, link in description. Anyways, enjoy the rest of the journey. Not too long later, we thought it would be a good idea to farm the second last area mobs to get a bunch of EXP, but I completely forgot to grab the quest, which was very slow of me. Instead, we decided to go back to Shinjaku and just grind a bunch of EXP until we got to level 2267. Anyways, after another long period of grinding, we got to level 2500, which was amazing. And at this time, we were working on Ascension, and all we were missing were some bosses. We went to Shibuya since there were 3 bosses there, and we absolutely cheesed the heck out of Gojo and Yuji. I really didn't want to end up like Jogo trying to fight the strongest just to get clapped. Sadly, this didn't age too well though, since Yuji decided it would be a good idea to start spawn camping us. And after dying a million times, we finally packed up Yuji. Next up was Gojo, and we actually packed him up pretty fast. He was a lot easier to fight than Yuji. I used a race reroll and rolled a demon, which was pretty good for now. Next boss was Sukuna, but this one would be a lot harder since he has the most amount of HP and has some crazy AoE damage abilities. We did good damage while cheesing him, but I got a little cocky, and once he jumped down, it was already over for me. After dying again and even more, we finally packed him up. On his death, he ended up dropping a malevolent key, which would allow us to fight the stronger version of him. That Sukuna fight took so long though that the other bosses already came back, so we ended up clipping them all. While grinding, I also realized a lot of these characters will have trainings which we will need to do. Sukuna's first training was pretty easy though, since all we needed to do was deal 35 million damage. At this time, we also got insanely strong to the point where we were actually doing significant damage to these bosses, which is really good since we were already farming them. This is also when I checked the titles, and holy, there are quite a few of them. After killing the bosses a bunch, I was finally able to ascend, but there are still tons of ascending to do before I finished. I bought Mihawk's Dark Blade just to see how OP swords were, and yo, they are crazy in this game. Oh my bro, oh my god, swords are cracked. And just to test it further, we decided to jump a Lucred boss with 20 million HP, which is crazy. And he was destroying us, but eventually we did find a little cheesy spot, and we just cheesed him up until he eventually fell. But sadly, he gave us literally nothing. Anyways, we thought it would be a good idea to try boss rush, only for us to get humbled real quick. Oh, I think we're just cooked, bro. We only do a couple 100,000 of damage, not millions, and these guys have hundreds of millions of HP, so we were not prepared for that. Anyways, we went back to grinding and we tried our hands on the final NPC guys, and we were actually cooking them, which is really good. It gave us about 100 levels, which was pretty good. After a while of grinding, I was getting close to level 4,000, and on top of that, I finally unlocked artifacts, which means I should be dealing even more damage. Artifacts would be how we increase our damage and all of our stats significantly, which is really good. Anyways, Jin Woo had spawned, so we both decided to jump him like always. We got Sukuna's training and started jumping Sukuna, and right after that, we jumped Gojo since Sukuna's first quest was a damage dealing quest. We fought Aizen for the first time, and he had a lot of HP, but with the power of jumping, we destroyed him in no time. At Shibuya, I learned you can actually enchant and bless your weapons and armor in order to make them even stronger than they already are, but holy, this cost a lot of resources. After some time, we did 35 million damage, but the next quest was a player killing quest. The quest was pretty easy though, since we were able to just cheese it and just kill each other until we were actually able to finish the quest. And the next one was to kill 15 Sukunas, and yo, this one would take a while to do. And this was mainly because Sukuna spawns every 5 minutes, but we'll slowly do it. We wanted to progress a little bit faster, so we tried to go for the Remu sword, but we had no idea how to get it. It didn't take long for us to find the quest we would need to do, and yeah, one YouTube search later, we found all the 7 slimes which we needed to finish the quest. Now, this NPC allows us to craft the Remu summoner key, but we would need slime shards to do, which is dropped by the NPCs on the island, and we ended up grinding those NPCs until we got to level almost 5,000. At the same time, we also jumped Aizen, but unlike before, we were actually surviving a lot longer and dealing a lot more damage. After smoking him, he did drop his drip, which is crazy, and I put it on instantly, and it gave a bunch of buffs. We then spawned in the strongest in history, thinking it would be an easy boss fight, but no, this guy has a whopping 500 million HP, and just for reference, we do nothing compared to that. Anyways, we jumped Sukuna, and after a whole 20 minutes of jumping him, we only dealt 10% of his HP, and we ended up giving up just to get stronger and come back later since he doesn't despawn. There was only so much that we could do at this time, so we decided to go for Saber and Ichigo, and I thought it would be a good idea to spawn a single Ichigo, but he has like crazy 65 million HP. But we got right into jumping him, and we were actually doing pretty good damage. We were mainly doing this because I wanted to get myself Ichigo, and Azorsi wanted to get himself Aizen. And to get Ichigo, I would need 500 boss tickets, which you can get from just beating bosses, which is not too bad. But since it would take some time, we decided to go for Saber first. Now, you can get Saber for 65 boss tickets or have a chance of getting it while beating up Saber. And Saber is really easy since she only had 2.5 million HP. And while grinding her, we occasionally went back to Sukuna just to beat him up since we were still doing his quest. After slaying Saber multiple times, we both got her sword, which was amazing. We tested the ability on Sukuna, and holy, Sukuna got sent to the Shadow Realm. All the abilities were crazy strong and dealing heavy damage. So we decided it would be perfect to go back to Sukuna and deal crazy amount of damage to him. And after a long fight, we finally got him close to 300 million HP. I mean, it's just another 300 million to go, right? And after an absurd amount of time, we finally dismantled the heck out of Sukuna, and well, well, he gave us literally nothing for all that. Since he wanted to drop nothing, we decided to destroy his weaker version instead, since we still needed a bunch of him for a quest. We also smoked Aizen for his resources, and while re-rolling my race, I got one of the best races out there. I got not long day, bro. Yeah, we ended up getting Kitsune, which gave some crazy buffs. 60% max HP, 25% luck, 50% damage, sword damage, and melee damage. After farming about 300 levels, we dismantled Sukuna as well as Yuji and Gojo, and on top of that, Aizen. Oh wait, we can't forget Alucard now. I also found the Haki trainer, but his quest is mad annoying, so we'll do that later. Anyways, we grinded the heck out of slime warriors until we got around level 6500. We were slowly getting closer to finishing Sukuna's quest as well, which was very good for us. We spawned in Remu to see how tough he was, and he wasn't too bad. He did have 200 million HP though, which was quite a bit, but we still decided to jump him, and this fight took a while just to finish. We jumped Sukuna one more time, and now we just needed one more to complete his quest. After some much needed grinding, it was finally time to finish Sukuna's training, allow us to obtain his own spec, but I was still missing a few items to get his spec. Moving on, I grabbed the Haki quest and started doing it, as Haki allows us to deal even more damage that I didn't even know about. For the first quest, all I had to do was run around and punch NPCs using combat, and after punching a bunch of NPCs, I finished the quest. Moving on to part 2, which requires me to press Z 65 times, but instead I got all the resources needed to get Sukuna's spec and got it. I decided Alucard would be the perfect test dummy for this spec, and this spec did not disappoint. I was doing millions, which was really good progress. Talking about progress, we started farming the heck out of Saber, since I really wanted to get my hands on Ichigo. After some time, I unlocked the skill tree, but for some reason I just could not access it. But I did learn that every 250 kills you get 1 skill point, so we'll just come back to it later. Anyways, I continued grinding the heck out of slime warriors for EXP, since I still needed to get to max level, which was 10,000. While doing that, I was working towards completing Jin Woo's quest, which would take some time. After some time, the skill tree finally opened up, and it looked quite basic, which is really nice. I also went to Dungeon Island, which there was a quest there that I would have to do in order to unlock dungeons. But instead of doing quests, I started more of the grind to getting Ichigo, but we still didn't have enough after killing so many Sabers, so I just turned to the dungeon quest. After a quick YouTube search, I found all the missing pieces needed, but the next quest required me to kill 25 bosses, which would actually take some time. I went back to doing Jin Woo's quest since I was really close to finishing it, and I was also very close to getting max level, which is nice. I ended up getting an aura crate, which is the rarest item inside the game. Ooh, obtained aura crate. I just obtained a secret item. What the heck is an aura crate? Yeah. Auras give additional damage, and this aura gave me an extra 7.5% more damage, which was actually quite good. And on top of that, it gave me plus 100 aura. Since Sukuna's spec was my strongest spec, I blessed it up twice so it could do more damage. I had progressed to Jin Woo's next training, which was dealing 100 million damage, which is actually pretty easy. The next quest was to kill 10 players, and once again, it's actually simple to do. You just need a friend. But since Ascension wasn't around, I got Aizen's quest instead and started dismantling hollows. After dismantling 250 hollows, the next quest was to get Shinigami race, which is actually pretty easy of a task. Anyways, after a bunch of grinding, I finally was able to get Yuji's spec, and the spec was okay, but nothing compared to Sukuna's spec. I finally had some skill points for skill tree, so I unlocked more crit chance, and after forever, I finally got to max level, which was 10,000. On top of that, I finally had enough boss tickets to buy myself Ichigo. I went to Shibuya to test it, and holy, this spec does a lot of damage. It did so much damage to the point where I was actually able to one-shot some bosses, which is absolutely crazy. I also blessed it up a few times for that extra damage. Just a bit later, I finished the final dungeon quest, which unlocked dungeons, and just a little bit of Aizen farming later, Ascension finally got his hands on Aizen's spec, which was also very good. With our newfound power, we decided to run a boss rush again, and this time we actually did easy mode, but even so, they still had over 100 million HP, which was just crazy. We were dealing some decent damage, but at the rate, we would never win boss rush. It took us a whole minute just to kill one boss, and there was still 14 more waves to go. And on top of that, the timer does not restart, meaning we had 5 minutes to kill all 15 waves worth of bosses. The next spec we decided to go for was the Anos spec, and at the time of recording, it was the best spec inside the game. After a quick YouTube search, I found the 2 demonites for the quest, allowing me to obtain an item called the Calamity Seal, which would allow me to spawn Anos. After a night of AFKing, I had over 70 Calamity Seals and a bunch of chests, which you already know I opened. For some reason, we thought it would be a good idea to summon Extreme Gilgamesh, which had over 5 billion HP. We started going ham on him even though we barely put a dent into his health. But throughout my life, one thing I learned is if you keep kicking a tree, it will eventually fall. And after 20 minutes, the tree finally fell, only for us to get gems and literally nothing else. We also spawned in medium difficulty Anos, which had 1.5 billion HP, which is a lot less than 5 billion. And you already know we jumped him. Yeah, there was a lot of jumping in this video. We did eventually kill him, but I got nothing good. Nonetheless, we both wanted to try to get Anos since it was the best melee spec as of the moment. We did find a way to cheese the heck out of it though. All we did was went to Saber and got 24 out of 25 pity and then fought Anos, which basically guaranteed us the loot. This made grinding much more efficient since getting pity is really easy, and in order to get Anos, we would need to get a bunch of items including mythical Voldigoat clan. While beating the brakes off of Anos, I was getting a bunch of his clothes, which I enhanced to make even stronger. I didn't realize, but I finally had everything I needed to ascend for the very first time, which I did instantly because I really wanted the buff. Sadly, the next ascension would require a lot more work and a lot more items. I couldn't find the footage, but I did have the Voldigoat clan, which was really good, assuming that I could even get the title. Knowing my luck though, it would be a struggle just to get the title. After killing Anos over and over again, Azortion ended up getting the title. But sadly, he doesn't even have the Voldigoat clan. Anyways, while Azortion was looking for a trade to get more clan rerolls, we decided to hit up rune dungeons since we still didn't have a single rune, and runes are very good. The two runes we're looking for are the Destruction rune and the Wrath rune, as they both increase damage heavily. We both ended up getting the Destruction rune quite fast, but we still wanted to try for the Wrath rune. And after a while, we had no luck, so we just ended up starting a double dungeon to see how hard it was, and it actually wasn't that bad. Anyways, I went back to farming Anos for his title since I really wanted to get Anos spec. 30 minutes later, Azortion found a trade and got us an aura crate, which you already know I cracked up instantly, only for me to get literally nothing good. Azortion finally got everything needed to get Anos spec as well. Since I had to give Azortion all of my calamity seals, we did switch up and try to get me Gilgamesh instead. Now we would need another title called the Golden King, so we started the Gilgamesh grind. After slaying Golden Boy more times than I can count, I finally got the title. And with the press of a button, we had obtained our very first late game spec, Gilgamesh. I blessed up Gilgamesh as much as I possibly could. Oh my bro, Gilgamesh is cracked. Anyways, I grabbed Jin Woo's quest and smoked Lycan until I finished the quest, with the next one being kill Jin Woo 15 times, which was gonna take a while to do. I went to my skill tree and fully maxed out crit chance, and I put the rest in the damage. Since me and Lycan didn't have Anos yet, we started grinding for him. But this time it was so much faster since we both had Gilgamesh and it's just overpowered. After some time, we did end up giving up and we tried boss rush since we were doing much more damage now. And unlike before, we were doing it significantly faster, but sadly not fast enough since it took a whole 2 minutes just for us to get to wave 5. So instead, me and Lycan decided to run up double dungeons in order to get the King of Shadows title. And somehow I actually got really lucky because just a few kills later, I ended up getting the King of Shadows title. Oh, I unlocked King of the Shadows. This title gives a 62.5% damage boost, which is absolutely insane. I went back to the boss island and started spinning for Servant Race since it would give me access to Gilgamesh's F ability on top of that a buff. After using thousands of rerolls, I finally got Servant class, only for me to be missing a single golden essence. Thankfully, I was playing with 2 others, so they just gave me the extra essence, allowing me to get the key of Babylon. And after using it, I unlocked my F ability as well as a 30% damage increase. I wanted to test it, so I spawned in Ichigo as my test dummy. Oh heck no. And eyelashes. And eyelashes. Oh no, bro. No. But Ichigo died in like 3 seconds, so instead I used the F ability on Remu, and this ability did over 300 million damage, which is just insane. Me and Azortion ran up another boss rush since we were a lot stronger, and we were destroying these bosses. We got all the way to the 14th boss, but we had no time remaining and ended up losing. So instead, we decided to farm Remu for a bit since we were just waiting for bosses to spawn. After farming loads of double dungeons, I went to farm Anos now since I still needed his title. While grinding, I pulled a secret singularity trait, which is the second best trait inside the game, which was actually crazy. On top of that, I clipped the last Jin Woo I needed, unlocking his spec, which you already know I instantly got. And since I was grinding a bunch of double dungeons earlier, I had everything I need to get the Shadow Monarch spec, which this is the best spec inside the game. After getting Shadow Monarch spec, I went to grab the next part of the quest line, and the first quest was to win 10 double dungeons on hard or extreme mode, which is actually pretty easy. But instead, we decided it was finally time to beat boss rush for the the first time. Even though we all had good items, we still lost on wave 14. We were getting very close though, which is really good. I was left with one more Anos kill for me to get his title from Pity, and after slapping Anos one last time, I finally have the Demon King title. The only issue was I had 0 Calamity Seals, which means I could not get Anos spec. So instead, we ran up boss rush, but we got slapped really quick. After a whole night, I had a bunch of artifacts that would change everything. After going crazy in the artifacts menu, I finally got Anos spec, which was the best melee spec inside the game. And to test my newfound power, I spawned in an extreme Anos and ulted him, and it did insane damage. I also fully maxed out Anos outfit, which made it very good. I went ahead and maxed out Anos as well. I tested the ult one last time and I did over 1 billion damage, which is just crazy. After that, I got started with the Shadow Monarch quest, which I had to clear hard and extreme double dungeon, which is not too hard. And after some time, I finished it, but the next quest would require me to get the Monarch clan, which I got pretty fast actually. Anyways, I never showed my stats, but here they are. They're looking pretty hot. The next quest for the Shadow Monarch was to defeat 25 Shadow Soldiers, which would be the bane of my existence. At first, I thought this quest was going to be pretty easy, but these guys have an absurdly low chance to spawn in, which ultimately made it significantly harder. This was going to take multiple hours, but thankfully macros exist, so I'll just do it later. But now it was time to try boss rush once again, and for the first time, we actually beat boss rush. Anyways, we continued to grind boss rush for Esganor, since on the wiki it said it was the best sword, but sadly we had no luck in getting it. Instead, I maxed out Gilgamesh spec, which had really high damage output. We went right back to smacking Esganor around, and after an hour, I finally got some Sun Hour, which is the best armor inside the game. I had killed 48 Esganors, but still hadn't gotten his weapon. But I was strong enough to solo it, so that's exactly what I did. On top of that, I found out I could just macro this with one ability, which was really good for me. 4 hours later, I finally got Esganor's spec. I went back to bless it far as I possibly could, and I used Esganor on Anos, but compared to Anos spec, Esganor was low-key kind of trash. It did really good damage, and the ult did a lot of damage, but the ult also pushed them back, which made it very hard to deal full damage. Since I got Esganor, I wanted to finish off some other leftover specs that we haven't touched yet, so I started grinding the strongest in history to get his spec. After consuming 20 fingers, I obtained the strongest in history spec. Now all that's left is to get the domain. The only item I was missing was Infinity Essence, which you get from Gojo, and this was perfect since I needed to get Gojo anyways, so I just farmed him a bunch of times. After getting some essence, I crafted the shard and got the Shrine Domain Mastery, which allowed me to use Sukuna's F ability and get a 30% damage increase. This was probably the coolest ult, but the animation time was absurdly long. And after some grinding, I finally got Gojo's title as well, allowing me to get the strongest of today's spec. I did try to get the Domain Mastery, but I did not have Infinity Trade, which didn't take too long for me to get, and just like that, another spec completed. The ult was pretty cool, but nothing compared to Sukuna's. Since I was farming specs, I got Aizen's quest next, since the next update actually included Aizen in it, and I assumed we would need to get Aizen for it. And since I was enjoying the game, I might as well just add the update to this video. It took some time, but I finally got Shinigami race. The next quest required me to be worthy by some fragment, and after 2 seconds, I was worthy. The quest after that was to deal 350 million damage, which is low-key so easy. Now it was on to killing Aizen 15 times. The best thing about this quest was I was strong enough to solo boss rush, and yes, boss rush kills actually do count towards the quest, which is really good for me. After some macroing, I did finish the quest and obtained the Aizen spec. I went back to Shadow Monarch training since I really wanted to finish it. Now this quest is quite easy, as all I needed to do was just macro, and after a night's worth of macroing, I had finished the quest, which unlocked my F ability as well as a 30% damage buff, and the F ability did an absurd amount of damage without any enchants. The next spec I went for was Remu's spec, and as always, I'm always missing a title. Anyways, after killing Remu a bunch of times, I finally got the title, allowing me to get Remu's spec. But Remu does have a second quest, starting off with killing Remu on harder extreme mode 15 times, which is pretty easy. I finished the quest with the next one requiring me to have slime race, which I already had. Now the quest after that is crazy. We have to kill 10,000 NPCs, which is really easy, but at the same time consuming. Since I still needed to grind for Shadow spec, I just macroed Shadow Dungeon to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And after some time, I had enough items to get the Shadow spec, which was good. He did have a second questline though, which asked me to deal 1 billion damage. But instead of doing that, I set AFK to finish kill 10,000 NPC quest. After a long night, I finished Remu's quest, activating his buff. Anyways, right after that, I maxed out Monarch daggers, as they were the best daggers inside the game. I had yet to buy the normal katana for some reason, so I went ahead and bought it. And while farming, I got Alucrid's title, and since I had everything already for him, I got his spec as well. I started title farming since I didn't have much left to do, starting with Queen Shi. And after just a little little bit later, I got the title King of Beginning. The next title I went for was Soul Reaper, which is dropped by Ichigo, which I got in like 10 seconds. I was going for Aizen's title, but then got his questline instead. The first one was to deal 750 million damage, which I finished in like 2 seconds. But the next one was kill 10 players. I smacked Absorption a few times, finishing the quest, with the next quest being kill 1000 hollows. The next quest was to defeat 75 bosses, which is also pretty easy. And after killing the final boss, I had to defeat Aizen 20 times, which I just hopped into a boss rush since that was probably the easiest way to do this. And I still wanted to max out my sun armor. And after some time, I finally finished it. While I was doing boss rush, I also got all the sun armor needed to max out my sun armor, which was very good for us. After a little bit of grinding, I finally had all the items to ascend, not once, but twice. The next requirement was to beat Rune Dungeon 6 times and get one more soul flame, which is also pretty easy. I talked to the Conqueror Haki trainer, but got told I need observation Haki to be level 25 before I could get my hands on it. Anyways, I used an aura crate, which gave me Gambler aura, which was much better than what I had. I got to farming Haki EXP since we would need to max it out, and we need level 25 for Conqueror's Haki. Over 10 hours later of grinding Haki, I finally got observation Haki to level 40. And now it was time to get Conqueror's Haki, is what I would have said if he didn't have some stupid quest line. The first quest was to kill some NPCs, which is really simple. And the next quest was to dodge 500 attacks, as if I didn't just spend 10 hours dodging them in the first place. Well, I guess back to the corner I go. Anyways, the quest after that was to kill 200 bosses, which is actually pretty simple. The quest after that was to beat 25 dungeons. And after a while, I could finally get my hands on Conqueror Haki. I tested out the ability and I guess it's decent, but I got this for the 25% buff at max level anyway, so I didn't really care if the skill was good or not. I already maxed out Haki, observation Haki, and Rune, so thankfully all I had left to do was max out Conqueror Haki, which it's really easy to get EXP for Conqueror Haki, as all I was need to do was just kill NPCs. And with one snap of my finger, everything was completely maxed out. I used the ability and it was okay, I guess. I also got everything I needed to ascend, and after a few rune dungeons, I was able to ascend again. Few Gilgamesh levels, I was able to ascend even more, which completely maxed out our ascension. With that being said, I had now 100%ed the game, but since the update was in a day or two and I was having fun playing this game, I will go ahead and 100% update as well before posting this video. A few days have passed and the update finally came out. Now this update came out with one new melee as well as 2 new swords. Anyways, I was playing with a group of people, so this update was about to be a breeze. We found a new Aizen, which gave us a searching quest asking us to find 6 Hogokyo fragments, which we found the first one pretty fast, but the other 5 were quite challenging. After finding all the fragments, we were allowed inside the Soul Society, which had true Aizen spawner, which required chrysalis sigils. There was also one spot of enemies which dropped the chrysalis sigils, and talking about it, I got 2 instantly, so I did what anybody else would do and spawned him in just to see how tough he was. And he actually wasn't too hard. I let everyone deal their 10%, then cooked him. We all ran around the map to look for NPCs, and we found the very first Aizen, which gives us true Aizen. Transcendent Being title, 1 evolution fragment, 3 transcendent core, 8 divinity essence, 15 fusion rings, a lot of crisis, and 35,000. They also added a new boss named Blessed Maiden, and she had 650 million HP, which was not too bad. And to get her spec, we would need to do a lot of grinding. I also found Virgil, or whatever his name is, which drops the other sword from this update. And apparently Zoro's here. Yeah, I'm not sure what he was doing. They added a new luck stat, so I spun until I got something decent on it. Anyways, everyone went to their private servers to grind a bunch of sigils needed to spawn Aizen. After about 2 hours of grinding, we had enough sigils for pity. We farmed Saber to get our pity up for the first kill, and then we farmed the heck out of Aizen until we used all of our sigils. After all of that, we all had the Transcendent Being title. We had everything to craft true Aizen besides 75 chrysalis sigils, and since we didn't want to grind that, we just started killing Blessed Maiden for her title. We finished grinding Blessed Maiden and then went to beat up Yamato. They also added a new Z stat, so I did the right thing and rolled all of my stats since I had 27 million gems. After some time, I did get a Z on damage, which was great, and all of the other stats I settled with SSS since I didn't really want to grind for Z's. It was also getting really late, so I just auto farmed until the morning. After waking up, the first thing that I did was get true Aizen. I grabbed the second quest Aizen had, which he wanted me to beat hard or extreme versions of him, which is a simple task. Before doing that, I quickly aura farmed on Yamato. I had everything for Blessed Maiden spec as well, which I got, and I upgraded it so I could use the F ability. I used some of her abilities and they were pretty good, and then I popped the ult. Holy, was that ult sick. I tested the ult one more time and I did 4.6 billion damage, which is absolutely crazy. I maxed out True Aizen and Blessed Maiden for the extra buffs, and I tested the ult one more time on Anos and I did 7 billion damage, which is just crazy. They also added a brand new cosmetic crate, which I got some from codes and I opened them up. Cosmetics give extra damage buffs just like auras, which is great. Anyways, it was time to get Aizen's F ability. The first quest was to kill 15 hard or extreme Aizen. Now this is pretty easy since hard mode only had 7.5 billion HP, which I can one-shot now. After finishing that quest, the next one was to get Espada clan, which is a new legendary clan, which I got quite fast. Now the next quest, I needed to consume 5 transmutation shards. You get these from killing the old Aizen back at Mundo, and after some time I got 5 of the shards, which would mean that I technically finished it, right? But sadly there was a bug going around where if you consumed one, it would consume multiple and just count it as one, which means I would need to go out and farm even more of these. Just a little later, I did finish the quest, giving me Aizen's F ability as well as a 30% damage buff. You already know I had to test the ult, and yo, this ult is insane and does insane damage. Now all I had left to do was obtain Yamato spec, and just like everything else, I'm always missing the title. I farmed so many but still couldn't get the title, so I started smacking Aizens around. The main reason why I was grinding Aizen again was to enchant my armor to max, which is enchant 10. After 3 hours of farming Aizens, I was finally able to max out Manipulator outfit, and it was insanely good. The next thing I farmed was runes, since there was a brand new Havoc rune and it gives a crazy 82% more damage. Like, you already know I had to get it. I went to AFK and ended up with 4 of them, which is, I guess, good. I only need 1 though. And instead of farming Yamato, me, Zorshin, and Lycan decided to run up extreme boss rush to see if we could actually get our hands on the leaderboard. We were doing decent, but we just needed a good run. We failed multiple times, but we did not give up. One thing I've learned in my 20 years of living is the moment you stop trying is the same moment you lose. We lost over and over again, but we did not stop trying. The guys decided to take a little break, so I ran solo hard to see if I could get on the leaderboard. I almost got it, so I tried it again. It took me 3 tries, but on my 3rd try, this happened. Guys. Oh, come on, check it. Boom! I'm pretty sure that was leaderboard worthy time. Sadly, we'll have to wait to find out. Right after that, me and the guys got leaderboard worthy time on extreme. Yeah, don't ask what those noises were. I guess that's just my victory noise or something like that. Anyways, I got back to grinding since I still needed to unlock Yamato's spec. After server hopping and farming Yamato, I finally got his stupid title. And just like that, I had obtained Yamato's spec. The abilities were pretty good and did quite a bit of damage. Now, I almost forgot, but I had 1 more spec to max out, which was Shadow. I grabbed his final quest line, and the first quest was to deal 1 billion damage, which literally took me 1 second. The second quest was to defeat 1,250 NPCs, which I just AFK'd. The one after that was to kill 150 bosses. Once again, another pretty easy task for me. The next one required me to do easy, medium, and hard mode of Shadow Dungeon, which is really easy to do. After some AFKing later, I finally finished the quest, allowing me to go atomic. Anyways, with that being said, I have 100% completed Sailor Piece and got top 100 on 3 different leaderboards. And with that being said, I'll see you guys on the next journey.